There were no parenting books. There were no Facebook groups. There were no podcasts about gentle discipline or mindful communication or how to validate your child's feelings. In the 1970s, there were rules. Unwritten, unquestioned, universal rules that every kid in America knew, every parent in America enforced, and nobody in America ever thought to explain. You did not ask why. You did not negotiate. You followed the rules or you faced consequences that did not require a committee meeting. These are 25 of those rules. Every single one of them has disappeared. And I am willing to bet that by number 1, you are going to hear your mother's voice so clearly that you will turn around to see if she is standing behind you. Number 25. Be home when the streetlights come on. This was the law. Not a suggestion, not a guideline, the law. When those mercury vapor lights flickered on across the neighborhood, you had approximately 4 minutes to get home before you were in trouble you could not talk your way out of. There was no cell phone. There was no text. There was no Find My Child app. Your mother opened the back door, and if you were not in the yard, she stood there and waited. And the length of time she stood there directly correlated with the severity of what was going to happen when you finally appeared. You could be 3 blocks away at your friend's house, and the second those lights turned on, the game was over. Mid-sentence, mid-play, mid-everything, you ran because the streetlight was not a clock. It was a countdown, and what it was counting down to was your mother's patience, which had a limit that no child ever wanted to discover. Number 24. Drink from the hose. You were outside. You were thirsty. You walked to the side of the house, turned on the spigot, let the hot water run for 3 seconds, and then you drank. From the hose. The rubber green garden hose that had been sitting in the sun all day and tasted like warm metal and plastic in summer. You did not go inside for a glass. You did not ask for bottled water because bottled water did not exist as a concept. You drank from the hose and then you held it over your head and let it run down your face, and you went back to playing. Every kid in the neighborhood used the same hose. Nobody got sick, nobody died, and the water tasted like freedom because it was free and it was outside, and it meant you did not have to stop what you were doing. Number 23. Don't slam the screen door. Every house had a screen door. Every screen door had a spring that pulled it shut. And every child in America let it slam behind them 40 times a day. And every mother in America screamed the same sentence from somewhere inside the house. Don't slam the screen door. You forgot every time. You ran outside and the door slammed. You ran inside and the door slammed. You stood in the doorway deciding whether to go in or out, and the door slammed on your foot. The screen door was the percussion section of the American household. It kept the beat of every summer day. And your mother's response to it was as automatic as the slam itself. She did not think about it. She just yelled it, like breathing. Number 22. Saturday morning cartoons and Don't You Dare Wake Us Up. You were awake at 6. Your parents were not awake until 9. The rule was simple. Get up quietly. Go to the living room. Turn on the television. Keep the volume low. Pour yourself a bowl of cereal. Do not wake us up. For 3 hours, the house was yours. You sat on the floor 3 feet from the screen in your pajamas eating cereal that turned the milk pink and watched cartoons that were only on Saturday morning and were not available at any other time during the week. There was no on-demand, no streaming, no recording. If you missed it, it was gone. Saturday morning cartoons were not entertainment. They were an event, a weekly event that taught every child in America the first rule of independence. Take care of yourself quietly and everybody is happy. Number 21. Because I said so. When you asked your mother why you had to do something, this was the answer. Because I said so. It was not an explanation. It was a conclusion. The conversation was over. There was no rebuttal. There was no follow-up question. There was no but why though. Because I said so contained within it the entire philosophy of 70s parenting, which was this: I am the parent. You are the child. I do not owe you a reason, and the remarkable thing is that it worked, not because it was logical, because it was final. Children do not need reasons as much as they need certainty, and because I said so was the most certain sentence in the English language. Today, parents explain everything. They negotiate, they reason, they justify, and the child argues back because the door has been opened. In the 70s, the door was never opened. Because I said so was the lock. Number 20. Walk it off. You fell off your bike and scraped your knee. You twisted your ankle playing in the yard. You caught a baseball with your face. The response was the same. Walk it off. This was not cruelty. This was calibration. Your parents were teaching you to assess your own pain. Is this an emergency or is this an inconvenience? In the 70s, most injuries were inconveniences. You cleaned the scrape with water from the hose. You put a Band-Aid on it from the kitchen drawer. You went back outside. Nobody went to the doctor for a scraped knee. Nobody filed an incident report. You walked it off because that is what people did when something hurt, and the hurt was not going to kill you. It taught an entire generation the difference between pain and damage. Pain is temporary. Damage is serious. If you could walk, it was pain. Walk it off. Number 19. No helmet, no pads, no problem. You rode your bike without a helmet. You skateboarded without knee pads. You climbed trees without a harness. You played on metal playground equipment that was bolted to concrete and heated to the temperature of a frying pan in the summer sun. Nobody wore protective gear because nobody owned protective gear. The concept did not exist. You fell and you bled, and you got up and you climbed again. Your body was covered in scars and bruises that told the story of a childhood lived at full speed with no padding. Were kids injured? Yes. Were kids killed on occasion? Yes. Was it reckless by modern standards? Absolutely. But something was gained that padding cannot provide. You learned what your body could survive, and that knowledge made you braver than any helmet ever could. Number 18. Don't sit too close to the TV. Your mother said it every time. Move back. You'll ruin your eyes. You were 3 feet from the screen watching a 25-inch television that weighed more than you did and produced a faint static charge that made the hair on your arms stand up. There was no scientific evidence that sitting close to the television damaged your eyes. But your mother believed it with the certainty of someone who had read it in a magazine in a dentist's waiting room, and that was enough. You moved back. You sat on the couch. And within 10 minutes, you were 3 feet from the screen again because the picture was small and your eyes were young and the cartoon was good. This cycle repeated every Saturday morning for the entire decade. Number 17. Clean your plate. There are children starving in Africa. This sentence was spoken in every American kitchen every evening for the entire 1970s. You did not like the green beans. You did not want the meatloaf. You were not hungry. It did not matter. You sat at that table until your plate was clean because somewhere in Africa, a child did not have food, and your refusal to eat a green bean was apparently connected to that problem in a way that nobody ever explained. The clean your plate rule taught a generation of Americans to eat when they were not hungry, finish portions they did not need, and associate food with guilt instead of nourishment. It was wrong. It was universal. And it was powered by the most effective guilt trip in the history of parenting. You cannot argue with a starving child, even an imaginary one. Now, before we keep going, I want to point something out about these rules. Not one of them was written down. Not one of them was discussed at a meeting. Not one of them was published in a book. They were transmitted from parent to child through repetition and volume, and the occasional look that communicated more than any sentence ever could. Every mother in America in the 70s had the same rules, not because they coordinated. Because they were all solving the same problem. How do you raise a child in a world with no safety nets, no technology, and no backup? The answer was rules. Simple, clear, non-negotiable rules that every child understood, and every parent enforced without apology. The next 17 rules on this list are all the same. Unwritten, universal, gone. Number 16. Don't touch the thermostat. The thermostat belonged to your father. It was set to 68 degrees in winter, and it was not to be adjusted by anyone under any circumstances for any reason. If you were cold, put on a sweater. If you were hot, open a window. The thermostat was not a comfort device. It was a financial instrument. Every degree cost money, and your father knew exactly how much, and he was not paying to heat the outside. Close the door. Were you born in a barn? These phrases were all connected to the thermostat, which was connected to the gas bill, which was connected to your father's mood, which was not something you wanted to affect. Number 15. You're bored? I'll give you something to do. You walked into the kitchen and you said the forbidden word, "I'm bored." Your mother stopped what she was doing and looked at you with an expression that was half smile and half warning. "Oh, you're bored. I can fix that." And she could. She could fix it with a mop, or a vacuum, or a pile of laundry, or a lawn that needed mowing. The rule was simple. Boredom was not reported. Boredom was solved. By you. Alone. With your imagination. And if you could not solve it yourself, and you made the mistake of reporting it to your mother, she would solve it for you in a way that guaranteed you would never report it again. That rule produced the most creative generation in American history. Because when your only options are figure it out yourself, or clean the garage, you figure it out yourself. Number 14. Answer the phone properly. "Hello, this is the Johnson residence." That was the script. When the phone rang, you picked it up and you said that sentence. You did not say yeah. You did not say what. You did not say yo. You answered the phone like a human being who had been raised by a woman who cared what the neighbors thought. And if the call was for your mother, you said, "One moment, please." And you put the phone down gently and you walked to wherever she was and you told her. You did not yell across the house. You did not drop the phone on the counter and wander away. Phone manners were real manners. And your mother's reputation depended on how you handled a 30-second interaction with someone you could not see. That was pressure. Number 13. No phone calls after 9 o'clock. The phone was for daytime. After 9 at night, a ringing phone meant one of two things. Someone was dead or someone was about to be. A phone call after 9 p.m. sent a jolt of fear through the entire household. Your father's head turned. Your mother's face went pale. The air in the room changed. And when it turned out to be your friend calling about homework, your mother delivered a lecture about appropriate hours that your friend heard through the receiver and never forgot. After 9 o'clock, the phone was off limits. Not because of a rule in a manual, because the night was for quiet, and a ringing phone broke the quiet in a way that felt like an emergency, even when it was not. Number 12. Wait 30 minutes after eating before you go swimming. This was presented as medical fact. If you ate a sandwich and then jumped in the pool, you would get a cramp so severe that you would drown. That was the claim. You would physically drown because you ate a ham sandwich 11 minutes ago. There was no science behind this. None. It was a myth that had been repeated so many times by so many mothers at so many poolsides that it became law. And you obeyed it. You sat on the edge of the pool, dripping and miserable, watching the clock, counting the minutes, while your mother timed you with the accuracy of a NASA engineer. 30 minutes. Not 29. 30. And then you could jump back in and immediately forget about the sandwich that was apparently no longer trying to kill you. Number 11. Don't come inside unless you're bleeding or dying. This was the summer rule. Your mother opened the back door in the morning and you went out and the door closed behind you and you did not come back in until she called you for lunch or dinner or until someone was genuinely injured. Go outside and play was not a suggestion. It was an eviction notice. You were being removed from the house so your mother could clean it, and your presence inside was a direct obstacle to that mission. So you went outside and you stayed outside. You drank from the hose. You ate at your friend's house. You found a bathroom somewhere. And you did not come home because there was no reason to come home until the streetlights came on. Number 10. Don't make me come back there. This was said from the front seat of the car. Your mother did not even turn around. She just fired the warning into the back seat like a torpedo, and you knew exactly what it meant. Whatever you were doing to your brother, stop it now. The threat was never explained. Don't make me come back there. What would happen back there? Nobody knew. Nobody ever found out because nobody ever pushed it that far. The threat was perfect because it was empty. It worked because it was vague. Your imagination did the rest. You stopped hitting your brother. You stopped touching his side of the seat. You folded your arms and stared out the window and the car was silent. One sentence, no explanation, total compliance. Number 9. If you got in trouble at school, you were in double trouble at home. The teacher called your mother. That was it. Game over. You were not getting your side of the story heard. You were not getting a fair hearing. You were not getting an advocate. Your mother and the teacher were on the same team and you were on the other team and your team had one player and no coach. Whatever happened at school, the punishment at home was worse. Always. Without exception. Teachers knew this. They used it. One phone call home was more powerful than any detention. Today, parents go to the school to argue with the teacher on behalf of the child. In the 70s, the parent and the teacher stood shoulder to shoulder, and the child faced both of them alone. That alliance kept an entire generation in line. Number 8. When you're at someone else's house, don't ask for food. You were a guest. You did not open their refrigerator. You did not ask what's for dinner. You did not say, I'm hungry. If they offered food, you accepted politely. If they did not offer, you waited. You could be starving. It did not matter. Asking for food in someone else's house was a reflection on your family, and your family was not a family that raised a child who asked for food at someone else's table. This rule was about dignity. Your mother did not want anyone to think she did not feed you, and you did not want to embarrass her. So you sat there, hungry, polite, and you ate twice as much when you got home. Number 7. We have food at home. You were in the car, you passed McDonald's, you asked if you could stop, and your mother said the 5 words that ended the conversation and the dream at the same time. We have food at home. The food at home was not McDonald's. The food at home was leftover casserole and a glass of milk. But that did not matter because the rule was not about food. The rule was about money. And in the 70s, eating out was not casual. It was an event. Families went to a restaurant once a month, maybe twice. The rest of the time, you ate at home. And your mother's ability to drive past a McDonald's without stopping was an act of discipline that every child resented and every parent understood. Stop for a second. Because I want you to notice what these rules have in common. Every single one of them taught the same lesson. The world does not revolve around you. You are not the center. You are part of a family, part of a neighborhood, part of a system that works only if everyone follows the same rules. The 70s child was not the most important person in the room. The family was, and the rules existed to keep the family functioning. Today, the child is the center. The rules bend around the child. The schedule revolves around the child, and the child grows up believing that the world will continue to revolve around them. It will not. The 70s taught you that early, and it was the most useful lesson you ever learned. Number 6. Any mother in the neighborhood could discipline you. If you misbehaved at your friend's house, your friend's mother had full authority to correct you, to yell at you, to send you home, to call your mother. And when you got home and told your mother that Mrs. Johnson yelled at you, your mother did not call Mrs. Johnson to complain. She said, "What did you do?" Because the assumption was that you deserved it. Every adult in the neighborhood was a parent. Not just your parent. Every parent. The neighborhood was a network of authority figures who all enforced the same rules and all had the same power. That network no longer exists. Today, if a neighbor corrects your child, the neighbor is the problem. In the 70s, the child was the problem, and every adult had permission to say so. Number 5. You're not sick unless you have a fever. You woke up and said you did not feel good. Your mother put her hand on your forehead. Cool, you're fine. Get dressed. That was the diagnostic process. No thermometer, no follow-up questions, no staying home to be safe. If you did not have a fever, you were not sick. You were going to school. End of discussion. The only way to stay home was to produce a temperature above 99 degrees, which some children attempted to create by holding the thermometer against a light bulb, which worked until the thermometer read 108, and your mother realized that you were either dead or lying. You were not dead. You went to school. Number 4. Kids should be seen and not heard. When adult company came over, you disappeared. You went to your room. You went outside. You existed somewhere other than the living room where the adults were talking. If you were allowed to stay, you sat quietly and you did not speak unless spoken to. You did not interrupt. You did not offer opinions. You did not ask questions. Adults were having an adult conversation and your job was to be invisible. This rule seems cruel by modern standards, but it taught something valuable: the ability to sit quietly and listen, to observe adults in their natural state, to pick up language and behavior and social cues that you were not supposed to be learning but were learning anyway because you were in the room and your ears were open and nobody noticed you. The quiet child in the corner learned more about the adult world than any child who was the center of attention. Number 3. Wait till your father gets home. This was the nuclear option. Your mother had been dealing with you all day. She had warned you. She had threatened you. She had counted to 3 more times than she could remember. and nothing had worked. So she deployed the final weapon. Wait till your father gets home. That sentence changed the temperature of the house. The clock started ticking. Every sound of a car in the driveway made your heart stop. You sat in your room and you rehearsed your defense, and you knew it would not matter because your father was not interested in your defense. He was interested in the fact that your mother had been pushed to the point of involving him, which meant you had done something so far beyond the line that the line was no longer visible. Wait till your father gets home was not a punishment. It was the space before the punishment. And that space, those hours of anticipation, was worse than anything that came after. Number 2, don't air dirty laundry. What happens in this house stays in this house. That was the rule. You did not tell your friends about the argument your parents had. You did not tell your teacher that your mother cried last night. You did not tell anyone anything that happened behind the front door because the front door was the border between the public family and the private family. And those two families were not the same. The public family was polished and quiet and respectable. The private family was messy and complicated and human. Every family in the 70s maintained this separation. Every family had secrets that the neighborhood did not know. And every child was recruited into the maintenance of that separation from the moment they were old enough to speak. Don't tell anyone. That sentence carried weight that no child fully understood until they were adults themselves and realized that every family on the block had the same secrets and the same silence. Now here is the thing that connects every rule on this list. And this is the part I need you to hear. These rules were not designed to make children happy. They were designed to make children functional, to produce adults who could tolerate discomfort, delay gratification, respect authority, solve their own problems, feed themselves, entertain themselves, navigate the world without a guide, and understand that they were one person among many and not the center of anything. Were some of these rules wrong? Yes. Clean your plate created eating disorders. Walk it off dismissed real injuries. Don't air dirty laundry protected abusers. The 70s were not perfect. They were not even close. But the underlying principle that a child's job is to learn how to become a competent adult, not to be comfortable while doing it, produced a generation of people who could change a tire, cook a meal, show up on time, shake a hand, make eye contact, and survive a bad day without calling it a crisis. Number 1, you can cry all you want. In your room, when you were upset, when you were angry, when you were sad or scared or overwhelmed, when the world felt too big and too loud and too unfair. Your mother looked at you and she said, you can cry all you want. In your room. And you went to your room and you closed the door and you cried. Alone, on your bed, into your pillow, with the flip clock ticking on the nightstand and the crocheted afghan pulled up to your chin and the poster of Farrah Fawcett looking down at you from the wall. And after a while, the crying stopped. Not because someone told you it was okay, not because someone validated your feelings, not because someone sat with you and held your hand. The crying stopped because it ran out, because your body processed the emotion without assistance, and you came out the other side and you were fine. You opened the door and you went to the kitchen and your mother gave you a glass of milk and did not ask what was wrong because she already knew and she knew that you had handled it. That was the lesson. Not that your feelings did not matter. They did, but they were yours. And you were capable of carrying them, alone, in your room, with the door closed. That is the rule that disappeared the most completely. The belief that a child can handle their own pain. Today, every tear is an emergency. Every frustration is a crisis. Every disappointment requires intervention. And the child never learns the most important thing a human being can learn. That the crying stops. That you come out the other side. That you are stronger than you thought. Your mother knew that. She was not being cold. She was being brave. Because sending a crying child to their room and trusting that they will survive it requires more faith in your child than any helicopter parent has ever demonstrated. She believed in you before you believed in yourself. And the fact that you survived every single trip to that room is the proof that she was right. 25 rules, all of them unwritten, all of them gone, and every one of them made by people who had no training, no manual, and no idea what they were doing. They were just parents, doing their best, in a decade that did not give them any help. And the rules they made, imperfect and incomplete, and sometimes wrong, built a generation of people who knew how to stand up, show up, and figure it out. If your mother enforced any of these rules, drop it in the comments. Just the rule. In her words, exactly the way she said it, because her voice is still in your head, and the rules she gave you are the reason you are who you are right now.